Check. 1, 2, 3.
The D.
Brief.
This is the D Brief.
Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's art.
Arts and entertainment scene.
This is the D
Brief.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
I'm Becky Scarcello.
And joining us today, we have Evrod Cassimy of Local 4 News, WDIV, and has a brand new album out. It's called Just Evrod. Thank you for coming back and joining us.
Of course. We've been having fun these past couple of days.
Yeah, I love
Yes,
it.
we have. Of course, we've also got this trivia, right?
I know you guys are not that enthusiastic about it.
I'm not coming back for the week before Super Bowl ever again.
Ever again. Yeah. Okay. So here's my question for today. So Super Bowl 40 was held in Detroit, 2006. That's what we've been talking about all week. Who performed the halftime show?
All right. So Aretha Franklin did the national anthem.
She did. Oh,
Was it a Detroiter?
you want me to?
Oh, wait. Oh, see, yeah, I can tell that it was, just by the way she said that. I think it was Eminem. No, it couldn't have
It was
been
not
Eminem.
a Detroiter.
It was
Okay.
not a Detroiter.
So somebody that was popular in 2006.
So I don't know the Super Bowl or my co-host.
Was it?
No, you don't.
Was it?
Well, so let's think about this. When was Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake?
That was a couple years before this.
Because they went real safe after that.
That
Yeah.
was 2 years before this, and then they started delaying.
It was
So
like,
it's
it was like nothing
to
but
catch.
old rock bands.
Yeah. So was this like an Aerosmith or
It was something
with
like that.
you're on the right track.
Like
It
a
was
Red Hot
the
Chili
Beatles,
Peppers, something.
It was
going.
Elvis.
Smashing
it was,
Pumpkins.
No, it was
Older?
safer than that. It was real safe.
Yep.
It was
Big rock band.
not Aerosmith.
Classic.
U2.
Bono.
Nope.
Wasn't Green Day. Green Day would have been too edgy. Tom Petty.
Rolling Stones.
Rolling
Yes,
Stones.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones. But guess what? Detroit was not so excited about that because no Detroit connection. Think about all the artists that come from here. There was no local involvement, not even any musicians brought up on stage with them at all. Just the Rolling Stones straight up. It could have been anywhere.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you're right, though. With a city like Detroit, I mean, I get it. If it's, some cities, okay.
Right.
But
come on.
Detroit,
we're the music town. You gotta,
Yeah.
and they had Aretha open.
Right.
So why not do? Yeah.
I know.
should have been Eminem. Evrod, from time to time, we have somebody call in who is an expert in a particular subject that Becky and I know very little about.
Okay.
Those are easy to find.
Many
around Detroit.
topics. Yeah.
One of our favorites is Steve Johnson. He is the founder of Motor City Brew Tours.
Also, he has a thing or two about beer.
Yeah, he knows it, and of the city of Detroit.
Yes,
I mean,
definitely.
this is a great way to see what's going on around the city. So, Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
There's a lot going on in the world of beer. The big news that came down last week was the sale of Atwater Brewing Company. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Sure. Well, Atwater would be considered the fifth largest brewery in Michigan, and they were sold to Molson Coors, what they call the 10th and Blake division, which is really be their craft beer brand division of Molson Coors. And that's going to go through pretty quickly. And it should give them a good portfolio in Michigan, Molson Coors, that is.
Is this part of a larger trend that we're seeing? Because I remember this happening with Founders getting sold. Are we going to see more and more craft beers basically selling out to the big boys?
We'll definitely see that. We have been seeing it for definitely the last 5 to 10 years. Anheuser-Busch InBev's bought over a dozen craft breweries, and Molson Coors as well has done that. They've already bought about 4 or 5. Some people kind of forget that Leinenkugel's was bought by Molson Coors a long time ago, but that was kind of a very early purchase. And I guess if you look at the Atwater release, they like to say that they compare Leinenkugel's to why they sold out now. In that Leinenkugel's, the family's still involved in that business, even though it's been part of Molson Coors for a long time. And that's what Atwater hopes by doing this and become a larger regional player in the markets surrounding Michigan.
And what will the consumer, the average person that goes into Atwater's tap room or buys Atwater, what changes might they see, if any?
I'll bet you they won't see many changes. It's already a solid brand in the state of Michigan. And they're in a total of 12 states. And like I said, they're the 5th largest in Michigan. They did a little less than 40,000 barrels last year. But to kind of put that in comparison, there's definitely growth that could be made there. Bell's founders, they're north of 400,000 barrels in a year. So from 40 to 400,000, there's a big gap there. So the resources of someone like a Molson Coors can definitely put Atwater in a lot of other markets. That's typically what they've done. So if you look in a store if you go into a Meijer right now, you might see an end cap of St. Archer Gold. That's a brewery Molson Coors bought a few years ago out of the West Coast, and they're now pushing that brand over here. Sure. That's probably what they'll do with Atwater in other markets across the U.S.
So as a Detroiter, or even as a Michigander, how am I supposed to feel about this? Am I supposed to feel proud that one of our own is going on to be one of the big boys? Or am I supposed to be worried because they're selling out?
I think it's inevitable we're going to continue to see this. I guess as a consumer, it depends on what do you feel about who the owner is. So I definitely have mixed feelings on it. I wasn't surprised by the transaction. I guess as a beer tour operator, maybe I'm a little biased. I support local. That's what my business does. So if that's what you believe in, then when a larger entity purchases someone that's local, you would have mixed feelings about that. Yeah. It is inevitable in the marketplace, though, that's going to happen. And on the package side of the beer business, it's got very, very competitive. Say the last 4 or 5 years, you're seeing lots more of these deals. You're seeing lots of breweries go out of business or scale back or pull out of states. I think someone like Atwater is kind of caught, and they either make a deal like this or they probably get a lot smaller.
You know who I think this is good for?
Tony Rocco.
I was going to say you.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Why?
Because of Tony Rocco. So Tony Rocco is the local artist. We had him on the podcast.
I've heard of him, yep.
He did the
Beer
Atwater labels, right?
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
And I am the proud owner of a painting I commissioned from Tony Rocco.
She invested money in it. And now that beer label is all over America.
Well, that's a good point. See, I was giving kudos to Tony, but yeah, I guess it's like the school's getting better in my community or something. It's increasing my value.
So, Steve, here's the other thing I want to ask about, because at the same time that we are seeing these guys sell out to larger companies, it also feels like there's a number of craft breweries that have disappeared recently. I mean, I used to live across the street from Black Lotus in Clawson, and that's gone. You've got Livernois Tap Room, which is no longer there. It's a meadery, but Sellerman's isn't there anymore. I mean, there's a number of these. Is this a trend? Is this something we should worry about? What's going on?
It's definitely a trend. If you look at the national stats on brewery openings in the last year, we're still opening a bit more than we're closing, but we're seeing the number of closings go up. And a lot of this really has to do with kind of the boom and bust. So we've had a huge boom, and now we've saturated certain markets. And in the case of some of these breweries, maybe their business model wasn't that sound. Maybe financially, they weren't really managing the store that well. And their product might have been all right, but they weren't managing their costs really well. And that's what you're seeing with some of these, not all of these, but some of these. And they're coming up on, say, they're 4 or 5 years old, and maybe some loans are coming due, and they weren't managing well, and they go out of business as a result of that. You also have some of these markets that didn't have any breweries and now have like a dozen breweries, and they all opened in the last 3, 4, 5 years. And eventually competitive forces, kind of the weaker ones, get closed out.
Have you had to change any of your tours as a result of all this?
Oh, yeah. I'll bet you it's affected me a half dozen times now.
Wow.
I've had breweries on the books for a few months, and then just boom, out of the blue, a brewery closes. And then we just quickly adjust. Luckily, there's a lot of great variety in the Detroit and metro area that we get to choose from, and we just maneuver around that when it happens. You know, we don't wish upon it for anybody. We don't want anyone to have that happen, but it is inevitable. If you look at the restaurant industry, we're kind of seeing the same thing, definitely in Detroit, in that we have too many restaurants, and we're going to continue to see lots of closures.
Evrod, you got to go out more.
I know, right?
I know, every night. Well,
Isn't that the truth?
I think that loops into the breweries too. Like in the past, they weren't maybe food was like an afterthought. Now it's expected that if you're a brewery, your food's got to be great. So, not every brewery had an equipped kitchen or a chef that was able to deliver good product there on the food side.
It also has to go with the fact that a lot of restaurants are carrying better beer. A lot of bars have stepped up their game and have bigger tap lists. It used to be you had to go to a brewery to get great product. Now I could get great product everywhere. I could walk to the gas station at the end of my street and I could buy great beer and just bring it home. And so many years ago, that wasn't really the case. And now we're seeing that. And now the beer business isn't necessarily growing larger, meaning consumers aren't necessarily drinking more. So if it's not growing larger, you can't keep having all these establishments opening up and thinking that they will just magically have customers. Eventually, they go elsewhere.
Even though people aren't drinking more, are they drinking more varieties? I mean, I'm the type of person who I always like to order the beer I've never had before.
Or the flight.
Yeah, I love flights. Love flights.
Me too.
But I don't know if there are a lot of people out there like me or if I'm unusual.
No, that's very common. I would say, though, the stats are showing that people are still doing that, and that's a huge profit center for breweries and the like. But you're also seeing that younger people coming up, they don't just drink beer. They drink wine, they drink spirits, they mix things, they drink hard kombucha, they drink spiked sparkling beverages, they drink healthier things, right? And they're not drinking quite as much.
Yeah,
so when you take a lot of those trends, that challenges breweries that maybe they only did beer and that was kind of their only thing. And if you're not really all beer, those people might be going elsewhere to have other things.
The
so you'll
Tide
start
Pods
seeing
are
some of
putting
these breweries
beers out of
adjust their
business is what
models.
it is.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go. But with the non-alcoholic beverage trend, do you think some of these breweries will start to do non-alcoholic beers?
I do. I just read an article recently, and Anheuser-Busch InBev commented on how they're investing in these different companies that are working on non-alcoholic beverages, and there's even non-alcoholic spirits out in the market now.
Yeah,
a company called Seedlip, Diageo bought a big percentage in them recently, and I think you'll see breweries definitely get into that a lot more. I participated in Dry January up until last weekend, so I did almost all of Dry January.
No, you didn't. Last weekend, come on.
Well, I made it. Okay, just for the record, I made it 23 days into the month of January. First time I ever tried that.
That's pretty good.
I did sample a bunch of non-alcoholic beers. I did have it planned because I had a guys' weekend, so I kind of knew I was going to break it.
Oh, wow.
break down during that.
I made it 23 hours.
Some non-alcoholic beers, and they were pretty interesting.
Well, there you go.
All right, Steve. Well, we want to take tours of what's left of the craft breweries here in Detroit. I know that you've got them. What have you got coming up on the schedule?
We got a whole slew of great events that you can find on our website right on the homepage. We got a great thing we're doing for Valentine's Day. That's not beer, it's mead, which is fermented honey. And we're going to go to 3 meaderies as kind of take your guy, take your girl out for a nice Saturday there. That's on the 15th
which 3?
February.
I love meaderies. Which 3 are you going to?
We're going to go to Bee Nectar Meadery, which would be the largest maker of mead in the United States. That's in Ferndale. We're also going to Schramm's Meadery in Ferndale, which is a great classic example of fruited meads. And then we're going to go to Akunin Brewing in Warren and sample their meads.
Nice lineup. Nice.
All right. People can get all the details on the website?
You got it. They go to DetroitBeerTours.com or check us out on Facebook or Instagram. You can get all the details.
All right. Thanks for checking in, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
All right, let's do some weekend recommendations. Becky, what you got on tap?
Sure. So you guys have ladies in your life. You might want to get some special gifts.
Okay.
What's more special than making something yourself? Are you guys crafty?
Yeah, it's going to be a card with a crayon and macaroni necklace.
The craftiest I get is a craft cocktail.
Okay, so you're not inherently crafty.
At least you can serenade your woman. Like, I can't even do that.
Is hot. That's a great point. Yeah. You can make her a song.
Yeah.
Okay, but say you think you're not traditionally crafty, but here's somewhere you can go, and I guarantee you could make something cool. So it's Handmade Detroit's Valentine's Market. Okay, so these are the folks that put on the Detroit Urban Craft Fair over the Christmas holidays, but they have this Valentine's Market. So of course they've got vendors and everything there. But the cool aspect of this to me is for $15, you can go, and all day from noon to 5 at the Majestic, you can make stuff. So they're going to have artists and crafters there with all the supplies, and they teach you how to make things. They're going to have screen printing, collages you can make out of paper. You can make a leather keychain. You can even customize your own lip balm. These are all these little stations they have. $15, you could do them all day long.
Not bad.
And have your own little unique gift. But also you can buy stuff. Like I said, if you don't want to participate in the crafts, you can pay $1 and see over 30 vendors.
Very cool. Evrod, what you got?
So I want to give a shout out to Bakersfield, and that is my weekend recommendation because it doesn't matter whatever you're going to do in the downtown Detroit area. Bakersfield is like that perfect centrally located place where you can go there, you can get in, you can get out, and then still make it to your event on time, whether it's a Red Wings game, a Pistons game, if you're going to a concert. I was going to say at the Joe, but a concert at Ford Field, let's say.
Yeah.
Bakersfield is like right there where you can either walk to your next thing, or if you want to take one of the scooters or Uber, it's literally the central spot, and they have great margaritas and great queso.
Actually, it would pair well with the Valentine's Market being at Majestic, right down the street on Woodward.
Wait, this is a restaurant because I haven't been there.
Bakersfield.
Yeah, Bakersfield. It's right there on Woodward.
You
kinda
have been there.
diagonal.
I have been there?
With me. And Jewel, we had a meeting.
It was very memorable. Oh, yes, I do. Yes.
See, we had
Did you
good
get
content.
the queso though?
We didn't. I got
Okay. And
tacos. I
that's-
just get tacos there.
And see, that's where you went wrong.
Yeah.
If you would have
Okay.
gotten the queso, you would have remembered.
We're going back. Will you meet us back there sometime? We'll have
Absolutely.
some queso and some
And
drinks.
and like the tacos are a sensible size.
Exactly. I love that.
You can get full, but if you just order a couple, you're good.
Snacks.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. I want to mention something that's going on at the Center Gallery at CCS. This is the College for Creative Studies over there on Frederick Street. They are showing, starting February 1st, a 1963 Andy Warhol silent experimental film called Kiss.
Oh.
This is obviously because it's February. It is black and white, 14 couples, each of them kissing for 3.5 minutes. Sometimes it's a man and a woman. Sometimes it's a woman and a woman. Sometimes it's a man and a man. All kinds of stuff just going on there in this 50-minute film. It's just kissing.
I love that. I'll go see that.
No plot. Just kissing.
Well, who needs a plot? Yeah. I love Andy Warhol. He is so cool.
Well, he has some other films. He has Eat, Sleep, Blowjob, and Blue Movie. And I think Blue Movie is just the working title for something that we can't say here on this podcast.
Oh.
But none of those are showing. It's just Kiss.
Oh,
is the
darn.
only one that's showing.
Yeah, because some of those would pair fairly well. Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, it's going to be there through early March. So go check it out at the Center Gallery at CCS. Evrod, thanks so much for joining us. People can go check out the new album.
Yeah.
It's called Just Evrod.
Yeah, I want to, one thing to ask you is your inspirations for the music on the album, but also who you've performed live with and who you would love to perform live with.
So who I have performed live for is actually just this past October. I opened for Patti LaBelle.
Oh my gosh.
At Motor City Casino Soundboard. And I mean, that was a bucket list item, I guess you could say, or a dream come true. She was incredible. We, of course, talked about her pies and her food, and she invited me over to her house.
Oh.
She said she'll cook for me one day, and I told her, I said, you can't joke about that because
I'm coming.
I will show up at your door. And then as far as who I would want to go on tour with, and you didn't say dead or alive, so I'm going to go.
Yeah, anyone.
Anyone. I would love to have opened for Michael Jackson.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That would have been incredible.
You know, just a huge talent, and just somebody that the entire world loved.
Right. He was my first concert.
Really?
Yeah, the
I've never
Jackson
seen
5 Victory Tour.
Wow.
In 1984 was my first concert.
Wow.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Very cool. And then you asked my inspiration.
Yeah.
So I am inspired by whatever extreme emotion I'm feeling at the time, whether it's extremely happy or extremely sad or extremely angry. I usually channel that emotion to pen and paper, and I write a story based off of how I'm feeling. So for some people, they can, get a track, or they can work with somebody and just say, oh, let's write a song about whatever. For me, it's a little bit more strategic and more therapeutic in the sense that I'm involved in a certain scenario and situation, and then I take that and then I write about it. So eventually at some point, like, my friends aren't going to want to share any stories with me, because I will then take that and turn that into a song. But so far, all of the songs have been about me.
Okay. And musical influences, as far as like, what do you like to listen to that of finds its sound waves into your music?
So I grew up listening to a lot of 90s R&B music. So I'm a huge fan of Brian McKnight, Usher, Mariah Carey, and then take it back to Stevie Wonder, Boyz II Men, Music Soul Child.
Oh, yeah. So
those are some of my influences. And I think if you listen to my music, Brandy, one of my all-time favorite artists, you'll hear a lot of those influences in my music.
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, I love your album. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good jams.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. And people can get it basically anywhere. They can get it on...
It's available everywhere. And
Spotify. It's available at Apple Music.
Yep.
It's what's the website?
EvrodCassimy.com. And there you can actually order a CD for people who still use those as coasters.
You never know.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Of course.
We're going to close with a song here. Becky, what do we got today?
Yeah, I just want to mention that you can submit your song or your comedy bits by going to thedebriefdetroit.com and clicking the button. And this is one of those submissions that I loved and wanted to play for everyone. It's called We're the Whip by the band Mint. They're actually from Oak Park. And this song is autobiographical. So if you want to learn more about the band, listen to the song. They play psychedelic funk and hip hop. It reminds me a little bit of Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul sort of thing. So they're playing Caju Cafe this weekend, Saturday, the 2nd of February. And they're also playing Armageddon Beach Party on Valentine's Day. So again, We're the Whip by the band Mint.
All right, Evrod, we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, Detroit's moving.
Keep up.
Yo, my name is Alski, the prodigy, the original throwback. I'm to hip-hop, with lollipops are the Kojak. See, every time I perform, you know my format. I'm walking over whack MCs just like a doormat. Why they rap about gas, I got the soul clap. My sole purpose is to try to bring the soul back. Imagine that, I picture this with the Kodak. If you depressed, get a prescription for some Prozac. My style begins with yours peaking plateau at. How could it be that y'all didn't even know that? I do my thing over break beats and battle wax. Like y'all cats couldn't see me cause of cataracts. I ride the track like a horse with a saddle pack. Or like a pimp skating off in his Cadillac. A word acrobat, enough to keep it abstract. A contract killer without a record contract. You don't stop, hey, you don't quit. Mick and Zalski together, now you know with the whip. And you don't stop, and you don't quit. Mick and Zalski together, now you know with the whip. And you don't stop, and you don't quit. Mick and Zalski together, now you know with the whip. Don't stop, and you don't quit. Mick and Zalski together, now you know with the whip. Yo, I knock a rapper out. Ain't no contenders on the street. Call me the chocolate cow, cause I got the sweetest beef. Stomach steak growling, but I'm never hungry for defeat. Insomniac with tracks, so you know I never sleep. Clever technique for speak, 7 theory complete. The lyrical epitome, I'm Zalski the prodigy. I know you never heard of me. That's why I'm busting in to blow your mind like a gust of wind and brain surgery. Must have been my word wizardry. I'm the sorcerer, casting spells on the industry. Check my chemistry, a mic ministry. Up against elite forces. And I shine like Olympian runners carrying torches. Across the global, melt down the stage like it's Chernobyl. 3 Mile Island with radioactive freestyling. So head for the hills like Appalachians. Or better yet, try to seek refuge like a Haitian. Cause instead of crosshairs, we used to cross fader. Fat lace kicks, bass out the record players. Help me slide in, execute my target and bounce. Casualties are measured at a numerous amount. Hey yo, so it don't matter who you came with or what your name is. Step in with whack rhymes and make you famous. See, it don't matter who you came with or what your name is. Step in with whack rhymes to make you famous. You don't stop, you don't quit. Mick and Zalski together, now you know what the whip. You don't stop, you don't quit. Mick and Zalski together, now you know what the whip. You don't stop, you don't quit. Mick and Zalski together, now you know what the whip. You don't stop, you don't quit. Mick and Zalski together, now you know what the whip.
Debrief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.